Hello and welcome to tutorial 59 in this series of tutorials and programs which focus on TradeStation EasyLanguage programming. In this tutorial I'm going to be demonstrating how it is possible to tie two events together, and by what I mean by this is many times people will come to me and they want a program written and they'll say something like this event to happen, then I want this event to happen. Now to me, does that mean that the second event has to occur within 2 or 3 bars? Does it have to occur within 2 or 300 bars? Or is there some indeterminate point in the future? I think what people usually mean is a few bars, but they haven't sort of quantified that. So what we're going to do in this program, just by way of example, is we're going to be looking at situations where the CCI, and I've applied a CCI indicator here, crosses over the zero line, and then within a user-defined number of bars we then get a crossover on the moving average. So what I've done initially is just applied a CCI indicator and just a 2 moving average indicator here. So if you look at my analysis techniques, you'll see I've got my own version of the CCI. It's not the smooth version, but another version there, just basically the standard version, and then the moving average 2 lines with the averages set at 9 and 18. So what we're going to do is create a strategy, and I will demonstrate how you can do this counting technique so that you can make sure that you get two events, in this case a crossing of the CCI and the moving average crossover, within a specified number of bars. Okay, so I've already created a tutorial, rather a strategy, which is blank. So what we're first going to do is create something that looks a little bit like the indicator. Now I'm going to do this using the TL new functionality. I would recommend that if you're going to do this in a real strategy, this is fine for getting an idea of what the thing looks like, but you probably want to turn it off when you're actually using the program, because it does tend to use a lot of processing power. So what I'm first of all doing is just creating the lengths of the two averages. In this case, I'm setting them as inputs 9 and 18, and we'll just do that for the moment. We can do some calculations and then come back to the chart and apply it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So variables, we're going to have one set for the fast average, and and one set for the slow average. Okay, so I think that's all we need for the moment. So let's do the calculations. So fast average equals average fast calculation price, which we've set as C, which is close. You could also use close there. And then we're using a length of fast length, semicolon, and slow average equals average FC price slow length, like so. Now of course you can't plot on a strategy, but what you can do is use the drawing objects. So I'm just going to say value 2 equals TL new. This is the function, the TradeStation function that we use for drawing lines, and I'm going to say the date 1 bar ago, the time 1 bar ago, the fast average 1 bar ago, and then date, time, fast average, like so. And I'm going to do the same thing more or less for the slow average. I'm going to copy that. It's going to change the values here. So this is now the slow average and the slow average. The way this works, incidentally, is that it's drawing a line between this date and this time and this value, and this date, this time and this value. And just so that we can see the difference in color, I'm also going to go TL set color and the reference value 3, which is the slow moving average, and we'll just make that red. So I'm going to press F3 to validate that. You see no errors there. And what we'll do now is just go back to the chart, and I believe I've already applied this to the chart. I have. So you can see that the this line here is pretty much, or it is exactly going over the plot. So what I'm going to do now is just go back to the plot, and I'm just going to turn off the moving average, and while I do that I'll just let you see the chart. Turn that off and you'll see that we can't see any difference because it's being covered by the drawing that we're doing within the strategy. Okay, so that's that's the first thing. The next thing we want to do is within the strategy we want to calculate the CCI. So let's just go back to the strategy, and we're going to use create a new variable. Let's just call it CCI val, and I'm going to set that originally as 0, and we're going to say CCI val equals CCI, which is just the standard TradeStation function there. So we're going to set that to a 14 period CCI, and what we're going to do is, if the CCI crosses the 0 line, we're just going to draw a little asterisk on the chart. So the way we're going to do that, we're going to say if CCI val crosses over 0, we could say probably a little bit more explanatory, above 0, then begin. And what we're going to do is, as I say, just draw a little asterisk, and we do that using the text new, and we're going to draw this on the date of the current bar, the time of the current bar, the low of the current bar, and we're going to draw a little asterisk. So I'm just going to put that in quotes and close the brackets. And we need to just do a couple of things to format it. So we're going to say text set color of value 1 to red, and we're going to say text set style of value 1 to 2, 0. Now you probably don't, well, you may know, I certainly don't remember. The way I remember is just right click on this and say definition of set style, and if you do that you'll get the TradeStation help coming up, and you should be able to see there, if I can just adjust the screen somewhat, the values of the placement. So you'll see that 2 means we're centering it on the bar, and 0 means we're putting it below the price. So I'm just going to close that. So just say end. Then we're going to do something very, very similar when the CCI value crosses below the 0 value. So I'm just going to copy this. So I'm going to say crosses below 0, and this time instead of plotting it at the low, we're going to plot it at the high, and we'll give it a different color. Excuse me, let's get rid of that. And instead of red, we're going to plot it at green with just the 2 E's, and that's going to become 1. And I think that's everything. So let's just validate that and see what we get. So not showing any errors there. Go back to the program, and we can see now the asterisk. So for example, we can see an asterisk here, and if we look at the bars, you'll see yes, indeed, we've crossed over the 0 there, and we can see a red one there, and indeed we've crossed over 0 there. So what we're going to try and do now is modify this program such that if we get one of these asterisks, in other words we've got a 0 crossing the CCI, then if we get an appropriate cross in the moving average within a user specified number of bars, then we will buy or we will sell. And we're also going to add a set profit target and a stop, just to make it into a proper strategy with the profit target and a stop. So how do we do that? Well, let's just go back to the program that we're working on. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is create some variables for the short counter and the long counter, and we're going to call those short counter and long counter. And what we're going to do is we're going to increment these every single bar, and you might wonder why we're going to do that, but I'll explain in a moment. So we're going to say long counter plus 1 and short counter equals short counter plus 1. Okay, so that's going to be incrementing those counters every single bar, whatever happens. But what we want to do is, when we have the CCI crossover, we want to zero the long counter. So we're going to say long counter equals 0, and we want to say short counter equals 0. Okay, so if we were to be interested and just sort of wonder what those counters look like, we could just add a little text new statement. So for example, we could say value for equals text. Remember, this is the way that we draw a symbol on the chart as opposed to a line. So we're going to draw it on the current day, the current time, the low of the bar. And what we're going to actually do, because the counter is a number, the text is expecting a string, we have to convert the number to a string. So we're going to num to string, and let's just do it for the long counter to start with, or in fact I think that's all we're going to do it for, but I'm sure you could do the same thing for the short counter if you wish to do so. So I'm going to press F3, and we're not getting any errors there. Now look at the chart, and what should happen is every time we get one of these new long counters, in other words we get the crossover of the CCI, then we start counting. So you'll see here that we cross over here, so we go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then we cross over again here, so it gets reset to 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what we're doing is we're counting, and then if a moving average crossover occurs within a certain number of the count, then we will get into a trade. So let's continue with working on the program. And the number that we're going to allow, that in other words how large the count can be before we will or will not take the trade. I'm just going to set this at 3 initially. So let's I think we're ready now to actually put in the trades. So let's go ahead and do that. So do that right at the end of the program. And what we're going to say is if fast average crosses above slow average and long counter is less than max counter, then buy next bar at market, semicolon. And we're going to do the same thing for the short side. We can say if fast average crosses under slow average and short counter is less than max CTR, max counter, then sell short next bar at market. semicolon. Okay, and just to finish this off, I'm just going to put in a profit target. So I'm going to say set prof target. I'm going to make this a user input that we can then optimize the program. So semicolon and set stop loss. You'll notice this is black, it hasn't gone blue, so that's because I made a typing error. That should be profit target, and then that should be STP. And if we press F3 now, we're going to get an error, and that is because I haven't declared the value of prof and STP. So we're seeing strategy not verified. So I'm just going to just show you that by way of example. If we just go up, what we need to do is create a input for the profit target and this STP. So I'm going to say prof. We'll set this at say 100, and excuse me, let's go back to the, and sorry, that should be comma, and STP, I'm going to set that at 200, and I think we've done just about everything we need to do now. So let's try validating that again, and got another error down here. That's because we put profit there, and actually the should be prof. So I'm going to press F3 again, or click the little green arrow, and I think we're good. So if we go back to the chart, we should now start seeing some trades. So what I'm going to do is turn off the print of the counter. That's a little bit annoying. And also, as I say, once you've got this program and you know it's working the way that you want it to work, you probably want to turn off this part of the program here, and you could do that by simply surrounding it with curly brackets like that. I'm going to leave it on for the moment and press F3, and what I'm going to do is to show you how you would go about optimizing this program now. So I'm not saying that this is in any way a usable strategy, but the main principle is just demonstrating how you do that count. In other words, this happens, then something else happens, and just how you can make sure that the something else happens within a certain number of bars. So anyway, if we wanted to optimize this, what we'd do is click on strategy and double click on the input values and click on optimize, and then we could just go through each one. So we might optimize, for instance, the profit. So we could go I don't know, to say 1,000 at an increment of say 25, and could do the same thing for the stop. So let's go up to 750 at 50. Okay. And also the counter. So we might actually go from 1 to 20 at an increment of 1. Then having done that, we click the optimize. We click the OK, and we've got a choice of exhaustive or genetic. I'm just going to try genetic. I'm going to click suggest. Then I'm going to click optimize, and the program's going to go away and start calculating the various values. So what I'm going to do is pause this for a moment and then just come back when the optimization is complete. Okay, so the optimization has now finished, and what we probably now want to do is just go and say view, strategy, performance report, and maybe have a look at the performance graph. So anyway, you know, I'm not saying that this is a strategy that you could use. I didn't include any commissions or slippage and so on, and I had this just running at the end of each bar, but hopefully that will give you some ideas as to that you could apply in some of your strategies. Anyway, I hope this has been useful, and if you're not part of our email list, then please go to markplex.com and sign up for our email list, and I'll also make this program available for a nominal fee at markplex.com. Anyway, thank you very much.